Hello, happy Friday again. It's Kelly DeMarco here, and I am doing these YouTube videos to track our cancer journey. Actually, it's my husband's journey. He's the one who is living with multiple myeloma, but it's a family affair because for anyone who has had cancer, you know that everyone else around you is part of that. And for anyone who's had someone close to you with cancer, you know how much your life is affected by it. I feel like it's sort of like, it affects, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that it doesn't affect. But one of the things that's really coming to mind for me today as I'm driving home at the end of my week is the value of ritual as a tool for resilience. And I want to go back in time a little bit. Several years ago, we were in the midst of a big family kind of change. My husband and I were in a huge transition, and we had 2 young daughters, and lots was changing. We moved across country, and then we moved a couple of times within a short span of time. And my husband was like leaving a job in banking. He hated it. And I started working full-time, so that was a huge change. We left our role as ministers and priests, running a meditation center, so that was like a huge change. We lived on an island for a summer we had a couple laundry baskets full of goods from a thrift store while all of our stuff was in storage. And so that was a huge change. And then we moved to a home that was like just down the street from my sister and her family's home. And we were new to a neighborhood. We still were living out of laundry baskets full of stuff. I think we had pulled a few things out of storage. But we had a card table and folding chairs and a couple pots and pans. And my husband, while watching our girls and I was working full time, he was watercolor painting. And in the midst of that, he started cooking because we were trying to save money as we were dropping down to one income. And he had gotten this cookbook from a secondhand bookstore. And it was a Marcella Hassan cookbook, rustic Italian cooking. And then he also got another book on povera Italian cooking. It was like the poor, the way, really the way that you would, like, if you were to go to Italy and just travel and be inside of the homes of typical, just nonas in their kitchens and with families in Italy. There's just a simplicity, and it's like you just have a couple of simple ingredients and you make the most of them. Or if you cook a chicken, like you use every part of that chicken when you cook it. And so you might have recipes for the next few days that come from that one chicken. So he just started cooking. And my husband's a really talented painter, and I was looking at his watercolor paintings, and then I was eating his food, and I said, honey, your paintings are beautiful, but your food can feed us. So I just kind of kept like cheering him on in the cooking arena because it was really good, like really good. And I've spent time in Italy, and I used to date someone who was from Italy, and his mom was an amazing cook. He was an amazing cook. And I knew good Italian food. And when he started making these simple meals, it was really like her tomato pesto sauce that was just like, wow, that's awesome. Like, you cannot get that out of a jar or a can. Like, that was amazing. And it just kept happening like over and over and over. And we were having these lovely dinners around our little card table. So Anna would come home from kindergarten. Emma was like 2 at the time. So she'd sit in her little high chair. We would all pull up in our folding chairs, but these like smells were coming out of our kitchen and onto our table that were just awesome. So that cooking really was became an anchor for us, and coming around the table became a form of ritual that, when we were priests, we had daily practices and rituals that we celebrated with our community together. But we didn't have family ritual that kept pulling us back together in a way where we were just celebrating one another. And those meals around that card table reminded me of what I so loved about living in Europe and traveling and spending time in South America, was just the simplicity of a good meal prepared with love, with real fresh raw ingredients, and time, just spending time with each other around a table. And my husband and I were Christian ministers and priests, and in a practice that was really centered around meditation and contemplation and mindfulness. And but one of Jesus's core rituals with his disciples was breaking bread. And I think the value of breaking bread is it's just this simple ritual that reminds you of everything. Every moment matters. And when you value that moment of breaking bread, there's so much that's a part of that. And I feel like breaking bread as a family around a table it's sadly has become a lost ritual in the midst of our fast, busy lives. And so we really, we moved to a farm in Washington, and my husband started growing food, and and then preparing that food around an even bigger table, and we invited people over, and it really became time that we just cherished so much together and with the guests that would come. And then we decided that we wanted to buy a farm, because we wanted to create that space for others to come and enjoy with us, and give people an experience of slow dining and slow food. And through that whole journey, I really learned a lot about what is slow food and what is slow living, and how does that contrast with the fastness of bigger, better, faster, now, more. That's such a part of our Western mindset, and has become a global thing, with just the way we live and the way, but I think we have really taken fast to the extreme here. So I'm sharing all of this because I'm driving home, and Tim had me stop at the grocery store on the way and pick up a bottle of wine that would go specifically with the meal that we're having. And my daughters are gone for the weekend with my mom. They're in Minnesota. And so we had a lovely meal together 2 nights ago. And it was so nice to see Tim cook. I told him, I said, I've really missed having you in the kitchen. I've missed the mindfulness that you bring to meal preparation. And, I get it. People are busy and it's hard. I mean, for me, I'm working full time. And so, it's been hard for me to bring that to our family. And, you're your mind's on all these other things, and then getting food on the table is maybe I'll get something on the table. Maybe we'll just have popcorn tonight. But he's started cooking because he's got on some anti-nausea meds that are allowing him to, have a reprieve from the vomiting. And now his appetite is coming back a little bit. And as his appetite returns, like, his desire to cook is returning. And I think it's lovely that we've kind of had this space where my mom and my daughters are gone for a few days, because it takes energy out of him to, like, even put his mind on that. But I can feel his joy for doing that returning. And I think as his energy returns a little bit through kind of getting a lot of the treatment dialed in, this is a ritual that we are returning to as a couple, and I can foresee that as our family. But the value of, like, good food shared together in good company, and I think the way that we prepare food, the way that we come together around a table, like, it doesn't have to be huge, complex, like, multi-course meals. It can be something very simple, but there is definitely something to be said for, like, quality ingredients and sitting down to a prepared table and just taking that time where you, like, turn off the phones and you turn off the TVs, you like, carve that time out in your schedule. And it really has become a sacred ritual in our family, and one that we've missed this summer. And we've had people bring us meals, and we so appreciate those. But I just, like, in our family, in our little unit of 4, like, Tim has been the anchor for that ritual in our family. That's the place that he's held. And he's really good at it. And, like, I don't know if he'll feel up to making food tomorrow night, but I feel like each time he does, like, I so appreciate it. I so appreciate that I'm going home right now to food that's being prepared for me. And I'm feeling like that's part of his love language. And, I think when you are married to someone for any length of time, it's kind of, you can look at all of the ways that they might not show up for you. And I'm guilty of that. And I'm just feeling such gratitude for the ways that he has shown up over all these years, and that he's really taken on, like, establishing this ritual for us as a family, and that, we've all contributed, but he's really kind of taken the lead with it. And so just feeling my gratitude. I wanted to share it. And if you don't have a ritual of, like, coming together with your partner or with your family or with your friends on a regular basis, I can't speak highly enough about the value of that for us. It feels like it brings a certain stability to us, and it brings a certain stability into my own body and to my piece of earth, like, that it knows that it gets satisfied in that way every day. And so I think I'm done sharing on that for now, but thanks for giving me the space to speak about it. And I'm going to tune off and finish my drive and enjoy my evening with Tim. Peace.